Bvlgari did it again. After 5 world records for the thinnest tourbillon, the thinnest minute repeater, the thinnest automatic watch and the thinnest chronograph, they now introduces the world's thinnest tourbillon chronograph. Packed with clever solutions, Bvlgari's watchmakers managed to keep the movement at just 3.5 mm. The Octo Finissimo Tourbillon Chronograph skeleton automatic measures only 7.40 mm in height, and it looks superb and wears incredibly comfortable on the wrist. Good looks and technical achievements can go hand in hand. The Octo saga continues.
Bvlgari Finissimo is a project which was born close to 10 years ago. Indeed, in those times, we had just launched Octo, the original, a beautiful masterpiece, which still today is one of the backbone of Bvlgari men's watch offer. At this time, the product launch was so successful that we immediately wondered how we could further leverage that magic octagonal design with the 110 angles. And it came to our mind that eventually for the man, the ultimate elegance is to be slim. It's something which is very Italian because the slim fit has been invented by Italian fashion and ever since has become really a benchmark of contemporary elegance. And as we stand for contemporary elegance in jewelry, we thought that we should stand also for contemporary elegance in watches, especially men's watches. And what does it mean? Slim fit, obviously, to be ultra thin, and this is really the genesis which led us to totally rethink a man's watch in order not only to be accurate, to be beautiful, to be everlasting and timeless, but also to be so slim that you can virtually forget about it, and that more importantly, you can have it very elegantly under the sleeve. And that was the way the project was born. The Finissimo was really a revolution as you couldn't get, to that level of thinness, which is about 3 to 4 times less than traditional movement, just by making each component a bit smaller. It doesn't work. So you have to rethink totally the concept of the watch itself and of the movement, so that eventually it will be extremely accurate, but at the same time it will deliver the accuracy through, on the one hand, less components. There's no secret. To be thinner, the less components the better, which also provides you with a lot of advantages in terms of reliability. And obviously components have to be sold totally differently and combined differently. So eventually this has led to really rethinking the mechanical movement, probably in the more radical way of the last 2 centuries, to eventually come with a platform which today has given birth to 5 and soon 6 world records. After launching Octo Finissimo Tourbillon Platinum, this was in 2014, first 4 years were watches including a revolutionary minute repeater, which is still holding the world record in thinness, until we introduced last year a revolution in chronograph. Chronograph by itself is a grande complication. We talk about close to 300 components in a very thin case, obviously, because our chronograph had to be a world record, and it has been a world record. Additionally, a GMT chronograph, so something which is even more sophisticated than the classical one. And this project led us also to a new innovation, which was the peripheral mass, as for providing the energy necessary for a chronograph, we couldn't use any longer the micro rotor, which was the kind of power reserve and engine of the watch, but we needed a rotative movement, and we came with that rotating peripheral mass, which doesn't add any kind of thickness, but allows to charge the chronograph for its hours-minute functions as much as for the chronograph function. So this was really a technological revolution, bringing into the equation a new way of rewinding. And the logical next step after this world record was to go further into complication. I mentioned that the watches had included tourbillon, minute repeaters, so we decided that to be really the pinnacle of the elegant in men's watchmaking, our chronograph needed a double complication, so being chronograph obviously with the mono push button, but at the same time to be equipped with a tourbillon for the ultimate accuracy, which is obviously extremely relevant for a chronograph, which is supposed obviously to provide you with the most accurate fraction of times. And we are very happy that just after 1 year of the birth of the chronograph, we can present and introduce to the public at the Geneva Watch Days this thinnest ever chronograph with a tourbillon. We talk about 6.4 millimeter for the full chronograph. Just for comparison, 6.4 millimeter for a movement is considered already as very thin. Here we talk about a chronograph that is a case and a movement inside. And the movement inside is just 3.5 millimeter thin, which means thinner than most so-called thin watches on the market, except obviously the Bvlgari watches, which are below 2 millimeter. We talk about 1.95 for the thinnest one. Besides the tourbillon, the design of the chronograph tourbillon Bvlgari Octo Finissimo is very much different from the chronograph we had introduced last year. Also because instead of having titanium dial, which has made the line very famous, we have decided to add to the tourbillon, very consistently with the architecture of a tourbillon, a skeleton. So it's really a movement which obviously capitalizes on the last year's chronograph movement, but a movement which has been totally reconstructed and redesigned in a way that it could host a tourbillon inside, knowing that there is very little space, as you can imagine, for the thinnest ever, and B, that aesthetically it would be immediately differentiated from the regular chronograph which was introduced last year.